Hi, my name is Kimberly, and I have to say that my whole entire life is a testimony. But I'm not going to tell you about my whole entire life. I'll just tell you about the last testimony. I'll tell you about the testimony that I made a covenant with God to bring to anyone who ever asked me. Um, I was living in a place a couple of months ago that God granted me after a 10-day fast. But once I acquired that place, I had invited some people over to my home that had some bad spirits with them. And it just wasn't a good thing. So to tell you the things that happened in that house would be something that you would probably see on a movie. I just kind of get taken aback just thinking about it. But bottom line is I had to pray, and ask God to forgive me for allowing certain energies in my home, because my home is where God dwells, not just in my home as far as four walls, but as my body as well. So I asked God, what should I do? Should I stay in this place? Should I have it blessed? What can I do? And basically he told me to leave and don't look back. And that's what I did. I just trusted him. I mean, a lot of people were like, but you have a wonderful home. I mean, this is, $300,000 place. Why would you leave? And God told me to leave and don't look back. So I had to humble myself and move in with my family, of which I have a lot of family here in Houston, but I've always been raised to be independent, so I never really reached out to them for help. So I had to move in with my home, with my family. And when I moved, the people that moved me from my house took all my clothes and put them in the back of my storage unit and put all my furniture in the front. And that caused me to have to live out of a bag. I mean, literally the bag was this big. And I had to live out of a bag for 7 months with my aunt on the north side of town in a really, really bad neighborhood. And every day I would come home and I would see such pain and sorrow, and it was really difficult to bear, but I had to humble myself, and that's what I did. Um, Through that process, I broke some generational curses because I have a large family and the devil really doesn't want us to be close because there's power in numbers. But I broke the generational curse by staying with my aunt. But my main testimony is this. I was in my car one day, which technically wasn't even my car because during this time, my car broke down several times and I had to humble myself and go back to someone else from my past to assist me, which is hard because I'm independent. So I'm in somebody else's car. I'm driving around town. I'm trying to find somewhere else to live. Everywhere I go, I'm told, my credit score is horrible. I don't have any money. Just different things like that. So one day I was in my car and I gave a prostate prayer. And that's basically where prostate, you can get flat on the ground, but my spirit was just flat on the ground. It was just flat. And I just cried out to God and I said, you know what? I don't have anything that this world says that I should have. I don't have the credit score. I don't have money in the bank. I don't have a car. I don't have a home. I don't have clothes. I have nothing. But I know that you are God Most High and everything is yours and I'm your child. And if I trust in you, you'll come through for me. So God, I'm just telling you right now, if you just show up and show out, I've got a big mouth. I will tell everybody that it wasn't me who did it. It wasn't my job. It wasn't anything. It was nobody but you. Well, sure enough, the next day I had a conversation with a friend and she was telling me, well, what's your dream home? And I said, well, I've always wanted to move on up like the Jeffersons. I've always wanted to live in a building, in a penthouse or something like that. So later on that day, I was going through the internet and I ran across this guy who lived in a penthouse in a high rise. And I was like, wow. So I reached out to him and I called him and I said, hey, I'm interested in looking at your place. Well, long story short, he was in a bad situation and he needed to get out of his place really fast. So he says to me, look, if you can move in my place, I'll pay your first month's rent. I'm like, what's the catch? No catch. Just get me out of my lease. I'll pay your first month's rent. I said, okay. So I went and met with the realtor. The realtor said, well, I don't know what he told you, but you just can't move in here without doing an application. I was like, okay. At first, I thought, I'm not worthy to even live here. But something told me that just press forward, have faith, just do it. So I filled out the application, and she says, okay, well, we're going to run a credit check. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Good old credit check. Well, she comes back and she tells me, you know what? You got some stains in your credit, but we're just going to overlook that. So I was like, okay. But then I got scared and I said, oh, wait a minute now. I've never paid this much rent before. God, are you sure this is where you want me to be? So I prayed about it. I said, God, I need you to give me a clear-cut sign that this is where you want me to be. I woke up in the morning, the realtor calls me. She says, guess what? We went down the rent. I was like, wow, are you kidding? Great. She goes, but you got to give me first and last month's rent. I'm like, I don't have any money. So I called the guy and said, look, I really would love to live there, but I'm broke. I have nothing. He goes, I tell you what, I'll pay the first and the last. Don't worry about it. Are you kidding me? So here comes the enemy again. The building that I live in calls and says, well, you need to pass our background check, and it's $350 non-refundable, and we'll tell you whether you can live here or not. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? Well, a girlfriend calls me and she says, hey, the Lord told me to call and ask you if you have a need. Yeah, I need a lot. So she ended up giving me $350. I paid the application fee and I passed, and I live in this wonderful place. I'm living in my dream home right now, this wonderful place, but I wish that it could stop right there because it doesn't. That car that I was driving that belonged to somebody else that I had to humble myself and ask, could I please drive your car? Well, I get a phone call from a friend of a friend who says, hey, if you need, I have a car. I heard you're looking for a car. And I was like, well, yeah, but the car I have is paid for. I'd rather just fix it. He goes, I tell you what, if you take over my car note, you can just take it for the first month and don't pay anything. I said, are you kidding me? He says, yeah. I said, okay, well, let me see what kind of car you have. He goes, okay, well, meet me at 24-Hour Fitness. Well, I walked up to 24-Hour Fitness, and what did I see? A Mercedes. Me? I drive a 98 Jeep Cherokee named Sterling, okay, with a busted headlight. So I couldn't believe that all these things happened to me. But I have to make this clear. It's not about living in a luxury high-rise or driving a Mercedes-Benz. It's definitely not about that, because I've been very humble in my life. It's about having faith and obedience, because prior to that, I did a 10-day fast where I ate nothing, and I drank the living word of God every day. That's what I did. And he saw that. So because of that obedience, he took me straight to the top, because he's a supernatural God. You know what I mean? When he does it, he does it. When you are obedient, he shows up and he shows out. He did exactly what I asked him to do. And because of that, when you see me drive down the street, it's the God in me. That's what it is. And I'm going to tell you, I don't have a great job. I'm unemployed right now. I live for God every day. I wake up and do what he tells me to do right now. And he's paid my bills since November. So, hey, that's my testimony. That's my testimony. It's a great one, but I'm pretty sure you have a better one if you think about it. And the thing about testimonies is people are really prideful. People sometimes want you to think that, wow, I got a great degree. That's why I have all of this. And, I'm so smart. But really, it's about God. And don't be too prideful to share your testimony. Humble yourself.
I try to make it seem like I'm told